Today's main protagonists are these two devices I have right here. One is the white Ayaneo Pocket Micro 2, and the other is the GKD 350H Ultra, or, as it's known, Little King Kong. So today, the spotlight is on these two. Now, why are we talking about them both today? Well, after my personal experience using them, I feel that both of them are quite similar, whether it's in terms of their physical appearance, how they feel in your hand, or the actual gaming experience they provide. So I decided to discuss them individually in more detail. Let's quickly go over the specifications of these two devices. Well, first and foremost, let's talk about the price. This Little King Kong featured above is expected to be available for purchase next week. Its initial price, announced just today at the press conference, is 749 yuan. And honestly, 749 yuan is pretty good value for money because you get a full aluminum alloy body, full aluminum alloy buttons, even the chassis and the joystick cap are metal. Everything is metal, plus front and back glass panels. We'll take a closer look at its appearance in a bit. As for the one on the bottom, the Ayaneo Pocket Micro 2nd Gen, it sold out twice due to high demand. Even after an official restock, it was gone in mere seconds. So getting your hands on this device is incredibly difficult. And its price? The base price is 1,599 yuan, meaning the device below is nearly double the price of the one above. So if the bottom machine is impossible to get, could the top one truly serve as an adequate, affordable alternative? A lower spec replacement. Let's briefly discuss the experience. The machine on top uses a Snapdragon 865 chip. For retro games, the Snapdragon 865 should actually be more than sufficient. You can even play some less demanding PS2 games at 2x resolution. The chip in this top unit, it utilizes an RK3576S. Now, for those who aren't familiar, you might not know much about this particular chip. It does sound quite similar to its family counterpart, the 3566, but in reality, this chip is actually quite powerful. The 3576 itself can achieve nearly 90% of the well-known G99 chip's performance. The 3576S is slightly weaker than the 3576, meaning it offers about 80 to 90% of the G99 chip's performance. You might know the G99 chip. It's been in many devices. For example, this unit's first generation used the G99, while this second generation features an 865. Unicorn's past devices also featured the G99 chip. Therefore, this machine actually boasts a very high performance level. For a Linux handheld device, its capabilities are indeed quite impressive. And we can clearly see its... So what exactly is the name of this particular component? It can run up to the latest PS2 games. Over here, there is a PS2 emulator. This one, along with a Dolphin emulator, can even run games for the Wii U and the 3DS quite easily. But that's not the main point of this video. If interested, search how it performs on those games. Today we'll compare these two devices, their look, feel, and retro game performance, noting similarities and differences. First, let's take a look at the chip we just talked about, then examine its appearance more closely. As I briefly mentioned, it boasts a full CNC aluminum alloy body, buttons, and joystick. Every component is metal. The only non-metal parts are these two rubber pads. Everything else you see is crafted with a seamless CNC integrated process, including the side buttons, which are also metallic. Then, on top, it features 4 hidden flat shoulder buttons. This is a home button, this is a menu button, this is a hi-fi 3.5mm headphone jack, a Type-C charging port, and a wired video output port. On the front, there's a D-pad, and the A, B, X, Y buttons all use moderately firm conductive rubber. However, since all of its buttons are metal, and this disc is also metal, it might experience a little bit of scratching. However, in the week or so that I've been using this device, I have not yet noticed any instances of paint scratching or color fading. It's moderately firm conductive rubber, not the microswitch feel you might think. These are microswitches, select and start. The joystick is a TMR joystick and its joystick cap can be removed. This cap is also pretty special. It's also made of metal. Let me just go ahead and pop it right back in here. You have to line it up just right to get it back in. Okay, next up we have a TF card slot. This is a single card Linux machine. Unlike many Linux devices that use 2 cards, this means its system is burned into the device itself. It comes with 2 GB of RAM and 8 GB of storage. Of course, you can definitely put games on it, but this system's storage capacity is really only for the system itself. Most games will rely on this TF card. The back is completely flat. The two shoulder buttons are also flat, and below them is a glass panel. This device comes with a screen protector from the factory. I haven't peeled off the back yet. As you can see, it attracts some fingerprints. It's just a regular plastic protector, and the front had one too. But its quality isn't good. It can't substitute tempered glass, and it slightly affects the viewing experience. So I peeled off the front. As for the back, I left it on for protection. I did not peel it. You can see the air bubbles, which means it can be removed. However, these protected films are quite difficult to come by, so I just opted to keep it on. Alright, so concerning their looks, we can put these two machines side by side and compare them. Firstly, the thickness of these two devices is identical. Upon receiving this machine, the immediate sensation in hand is its considerable thickness. Let's compare the thickness of these two devices. Actually, the thickness of these two machines is, in fact, almost identical. Let's hold it like this, turn it around like this. You can see the thickness of these devices is quite similar. The right one is flat, while the left has chamfered edges, making it appear thinner, but they're the same thickness. Let's turn it flat to see. They're actually the same thickness. Then, looking at the width from the front, the bottom has a 1600 by 1440 resolution screen. The top one, with 4x scaling, should be 960 by 640 resolution. The bottom's resolution is almost double the top's. And from a direct frontal view, the upper screen is slightly longer, while the lower one appears a bit narrower, primarily because it's designed with an almost square aspect ratio. We need to pick them up and then take a closer look. Let me zoom out a bit. The top one is longer and the bottom one is narrower. And regarding their horizontal height, they are actually quite similar. But the little King Kong on the left is just a tiny bit taller. Yes, it's slightly higher than the other. So looking at the overall size of the device, it's actually a bit smaller. It's narrower horizontally while being the same height and thickness, but in reality, it feels more robust. I personally think this is due to its more rectangular design, making it feel more like a brick when held in your hand. This one, with its rounded, chamfered edges, feels more sleek and slender in hand, making it seem a bit smaller, even though it's actually slightly less compact than the other. You can see the height is really close. The Xiaojinggang is probably... yeah, pretty much the same height. Looking from the side, the one on the left has a recessed joystick design, while the Xiaojinggang doesn't. Its joystick is a protruding joystick, so for portability, the APM2 on the left is a cut above, because the joystick on the right might snag on pockets, and that joystick cap was pretty hard to put back on. So that's a general overview of the device's appearance. Truthfully, both of these are truly excellent devices, perfectly suited for playing classic retro games. The top one, it has a 4x integer scaled, pixel perfect GBA screen. It's a GBA optimized machine. The one on the bottom, on the other hand, boasts a screen with a resolution of 1600 by 1440, exactly like the ones found in both the Analog Pocket and the AYA Neo Pocket Air. Let me turn it on for you. The screen resolution is incredibly high, with a PPI of over 610, which surpasses the PPI of most smartphones on the market. You could say the quality of this screen's resolution is extremely high. Consequently, it will also use a bit more power. And for the machine below, its battery capacity is 5,000. It should be 5,000 mAh. The top one's around 5,000 or 6,000 if I recall. Their battery sizes are quite similar. What's noteworthy is the device at the bottom. It comes with 18-watt fast charging. In my actual experience, when I used a 68-watt fast charger to power it, the whole body became quite warm, hot all over. I'd advise everyone to use a slow charger for this. Don't use a fast charger, it makes this device extremely hot. I feel like it might damage the device. And now regarding the gaming experience, let's delve into it in detail. This particular device boasts a flawless 10 times integer scale, meaning it's a pixel-perfect GBC machine. Therefore, we can try running a GBC game and see how it performs. First, let's adjust the brightness down a bit. The official, complete system hasn't been released yet, so it's currently equipped with an ES system, which is a pretty common operating system that's readily available. Let's run a GBC game. Let's run Zelda: Link's Awakening. The cover art on the home screen should be a bit more colorful. Let's turn up the volume. Its system is quite straightforward, making it very quick to jump into games. It's annoying. It is equipped with dual speakers. And when the device comes out of the box, the shader setting is a relatively simple one, this dot. A dot matrix shader setting. Let's focus on its screen performance. Let's zoom in to see the pixels. It is 100 points integrated into one pixel. You can see that even when zoomed in this close, you can't see the individual subpixels. This is a grid made of 100 subpixels simulating a single pixel. Let's turn off its shader. With the shader completely turned off, let's examine the display. As it is now, with no shaders activated, you can clearly see that the simulated pixel grid appears incredibly sharp. Color accuracy is good. I previously owned the Vert, which shared an identical screen, yet given that the Vert operates on an Android system, it incorporated a touch layer. Consequently, the display appeared somewhat hazy, and the colors weren't particularly vibrant. However, this device, lacking a touch layer, offers a significantly more vivid display effect. And now, for the one up top, let's also open up the same game, Link's Awakening, so we can take a closer look. Oh, I only copied GBA games onto this one. Well, let's just use a GBA game for the comparison then. This one on top has a 4x integer scale for GBA, and it's using a special filter pack made for it by Daguang Chuan. So let us take a moment to examine the one down here now, alright? This is how the bottom unit runs GBA games. The top is 4x pixel perfect. As for this unit, when running GBA, it should be 6x pixel perfect. A 6x GBA pixel perfect effect with black borders around it, just like the Analog Pocket Vert, or the Vert. The aspect ratio for GBA is the same. Let me find Minish Cap on this one as well, so we can directly compare its color performance with the other device. Alright, I've got both machines running Minish Cap now, right at the entrance of the house. And to keep things fair, I've disabled all shaders and masks on both devices, and I've cranked the brightness all the way up to maximum on both as well. Next, we'll compare the color rendition and performance of both displays on these two handheld devices. You can see at max brightness, the bottom one is clearly a little brighter than the top one. The display area is also a bit smaller than the one above, it just looks smaller. The screen-to-body ratio doesn't seem as high. However, it is more than enough to play GBA games, and with the mask off, the black borders blend quite well with the black body of the device. So, this is the size. And as for color performance, what I've done here is I've switched off the shaders on both of these units, so we can really get a clear look at their color reproduction. So, this is the analog. No, this is the Ayaneo Pocket Vert 2, Pocket Micro, 2nd generation. Look at its color performance. And this one here, it's the Little King Kong. You can definitely see its colors appear a little bit faded, not quite as vibrant and rich as the one up top. But it could also be due to the brightness. Let's put the two of them side by side for comparison. It might be due to the angle of the light. I'm not sure if you can all tell, but for the one below, I'm going to let you take another look at the Little King Kong screen right now. Actually, for the bottom one, I haven't enabled proportional scaling. This means it's not in a 6 times pixel perfect state. Right now, it's in a full screen horizontal stretch mode, but the pixels are still distinct, and I don't see any blurry, discolored edges. The eyes, too, look like pixelated eyes. For such ultra-high resolution screens, pixel perfect alignment isn't that crucial anymore. The human eye can hardly distinguish the difference, whether it's pixel perfect or not. So I feel that when playing GBA games, just stretching it horizontally to fill the screen is good enough. There's really no need to adjust it to a smaller screen just for proportional scaling to achieve a 6 times pixel perfect ratio. Let's check it again top and bottom to avoid lighting errors. You can see the colors on the bottom one are indeed a bit more vibrant than the one on top. Both devices are at maximum brightness right now. I think it's the max. Any brighter and it would be overexposed. So, what do you all think about the picture quality and performance of these screens when compared side by side? When playing retro games like this, the display performance is pretty much what you see here. Beyond these retro games, we can also explore other types of games. For now, I'll just go ahead and exit out of this section. On this device, I've only installed Game Boy Advance games, so there's nothing else to compare. And on this one, due to its screen aspect ratio, I've only installed Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. For Game Boy Color, let's take a look at one I play frequently, a game I often enjoy playing. I frequently play this Tetris. Now, let's truly immerse ourselves and experience firsthand what it's genuinely like to play Game Boy and Game Boy Color games on this particular device and see how they really feel, observing the actual sensation of playing them. The pixels are perfectly distinct. This is a save. The tactile response of its conductive pads is quite pleasing. However, there's a slight stiffness, primarily because these are metal buttons, a common characteristic of their material composition. So it might feel a little bit stiff. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. But it doesn't matter. This is still easy to fix. Let's play. Controls are quite responsive, no ghosting inputs. Its D-pad directions are quite firm, so ghosting inputs are rare. You can hear this distinct clicking sound. It's actually the sound of these metal buttons. I personally have stronger hands, so I tend to press them harder. It will probably be better once I get used to it. So, this is what it feels like to play GBC games. Anyway, with the full screen glass panel, the screen-to-body ratio for playing GBC is very impressive. Okay, so after just quickly playing a few of its games, I'd also like to briefly introduce something else. I've actually posted a video about this before. It's a personal, custom-made game front-end that I'm currently in the process of porting. Well, it's not exactly a front-end, but more of a small piece of software, this one right here. It integrates several of these Galaga Core emulators, a front-end that's similar to an emulator. It has a user interface that's styled like Steam OS. Here. However, it still has some minor issues at the moment, so I won't release it just yet. I'll wait until the porting process is fully completed before making it publicly available. Let me show you. Currently, my plan is to support ONS, which is actually almost done, and also the KPKR core. For KPKR games, I've searched for a lot of information, but haven't found any reliable porting solutions for the ARM64 architecture on a Linux system. And even with the help of AI, it's still quite a struggle. This engine is a pretty modern one with a lot of graphics and animation rendering stuff. Directly forcing a port to a lower to mid-performance machine like this isn't exactly straightforward or convenient. Plus, there's not much documentation available, and it heavily relies on a ton of various kinds of different plugins. Furthermore, this was originally an emulator made by a Japanese developer, which is why its documentation can be quite challenging to understand. Anyway, once I'm done with this, I can actually give you all a peek. Currently, it just barely manages to load into the game after a somewhat lengthy process, but it's not entirely stable. It frequently experiences crashes and often shows various rendering display errors. It's been loading for ages, as you can see. I'll just cover this part up. It's a 16:9 aspect ratio game, so on this device's screen, it can only be displayed as a small, centered image. Later, if conditions allow, I'm planning to implement an overscaling feature. Oh, and since this particular device lacks a touchscreen, I'm currently using the joystick to simulate a virtual cursor, which I then use to navigate and move the display around the screen. This allows me to effectively interact with the interface despite the hardware limitations, ensuring the usable experience for all. Currently, this is the extent of the porting progress. It runs games. Oh, it crashed. I might have pressed too fast. And afterwards, I will also keep trying to find a way to figure out how to make this work. As for ONS games, the porting is much more complete. I'll just open a random one, like this Symphony game, to show you the effect. To improve visibility, I'll just dim the brightness a bit. It's currently overexposed, making it somewhat difficult to discern. For older games like this, they're typically in a 4:3 aspect ratio. However, this screen is not a 4:3, so I applied overscan cropping and adjusted the text to fit. This way, it can properly fill the entire game canvas. This way, it essentially becomes a full-screen game. You can see the bottom is perfectly aligned. The sides don't really matter, so I just cropped off those few pixels. A 4:3 game image is cropped into a square-ish picture to fit and fill the entire screen. And for the vast majority of these text-based games, you're actually dealing with a situation where it's primarily a single-player experience, focused on an individual character. For 16:9 games, the picture is tiny on this device. You can't see anything. But once I integrated the overscan cropping feature, and given that the majority of games typically feature a single character's perspective, it actually turned out to be just right. Here's 16:9 Bishoujo Mankyu 4. Let's see the visuals. However, precisely because it has been cropped, I am unable to view the options within the main menu. But later, I'm planning to implement a one-touch switch for the video aspect ratio. This will allow you to select the game interface in 16:9 first. Right now, it's quite difficult to select, but once that feature is implemented, it will be much better, and you'll be able to dive right into the game. You can see here that I've cropped the image from the left and right sides, and I've adaptively placed the text in the center. This way, it remains clear and visible, and most of the time, with a single person in the middle, it just fits perfectly. Playing these old games with this aspect ratio gives a truly unique feel. Makes the person look bigger. Most scenes usually have the character centered, with just background on the sides. Cropping that off really makes no difference. Oh, this is loading. So, in a fully fledged game with a single main character, this is generally what it's going to look like. I'll center the text. The font could still be larger. I'm planning to add a function to further enlarge it, so the single-player game experience on these smaller screens should be quite good. I've made an addition. This. Right here. I can't show this anymore. I really can't demonstrate it further. Anyway, this is pretty much the effect you get when you're playing a GAL game, you see. Once this software is fully refined, I will also make it available. And beyond just the experience of playing this specific game, I've also taken the liberty of porting over that very same reader application, which I originally developed for other Linux handheld gaming consoles, to this device as well. Let's go in and I'll show you. This reader app, just like the previous models, is able to support both comics and novels. For reading comics, it supports PDF format files, EPUB format files, and also ZIP image pack formats. Pressing this option will take you directly to its chapter page, allowing for immediate navigation. And if someone feels the screen is too small, for example, if you want to see the text on top more clearly, you can press the plus button to zoom in. When it's zoomed in, you can use the joystick or the D-pad to move around. You can move it. Press A to refit. The minus button corresponds to zooming out. Of course, if you'd rather not view it horizontally, feeling it's too long, you can also view it vertically. I prefer it this way. After rotating it, I just hold this joystick and scroll down to view it. Just like using a phone, only with a joystick. It would be even better if the top part was also a screen, but reading it this way works too. Just pushing the joystick down to read comics is totally fine. Of course, the D-pad also works. Press down, then left or right to directly flip a page, just like holding a phone in one hand to read comics. Some say the screen is small, but a phone is just as wide. In full screen, text is the same size. It's like reading on a phone, just with the top cropped. But unlike a phone, it has extra buttons, right? And this joystick. Pushing it flips the page. So convenient. Of course, if you're left-handed, if you're a lefty, you can also read it like this. When you switch to this, it means you're just pulling down, to scroll. You can also view it this way. Both methods work perfectly fine. And aside from reading comics, you can also indulge in reading novels on this device. This adds more playability to the device. Yeah, reading novels is the same. Use the joystick or D-pad to scroll down, left and right flips a whole page, and this button selects the chapter directly. And also within the settings, it's the very same for this particular feature. What do we call this thing once more? Text background, font size, all adjustable. You can change to a black background for novels. It's very seamless that way. If you think the font's too small, you can certainly increase the font size even further. So this brings forth a lot more playability to a handheld console, something like this. This device is already quite complete, so it likely won't get any further updates, as there really isn't much need for additional features or functions. This shows its dedicated mapping. Each button's function is listed. Just refer to this. I have already released this software. So if you purchase this device, you will be able to use this comics application. As for the Gal game emulator I just showed you, it still has a lot of issues, so I'm still working on fixing it. Once it's polished, I'll release another video to launch the software for everyone to use. It'll be free, of course. Alright, so this video was just a brief introduction to these two devices, how to play retro games on them, and some of the auxiliary software and its gameplay. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to support me. I will keep making more fun videos. Alright, thank you all for watching. Goodbye.